News 5 forecast first. Sponsored by Airport Dental in Pensacola.
Our Tuesday has been pretty good to us. Temperatures now slowly sliding downward. Still 51 in Mobile, but already 49 in Pascagoula, 46 in Evergreen. Later tonight, it's going to be colder than it was this morning. Many of us will be right around freezing, which means some of us just above, some of us just below. But after tonight, temperatures moderate heading toward the weekend. News 5 at 6 starts right now.
Now on WKRG News 5.
Polls close in 1 hour in Alabama's highly contested U.S. Senate race between Doug Jones and Roy Moore. Tonight, live team coverage from Mobile, Birmingham, and Montgomery. Then, the election isn't the only thing on the minds for Baldwin County voters. Details on a vote that could impact the future of education. And a suspect is now in custody after 2 people are found dead in Northwest Florida. What deputies say could have started it.
From WKRG News 5, the Gulf Coast news leader. The news starts now.
Hello, and thanks for joining us. I'm Mel Shaw.
And I'm Roseanne Haven. First on 5, all eyes are on the U.S. Senate race between Doug Jones and Roy Moore. Polls are open for about another hour. That's until 7 o'clock. Roy Moore arrived to cast his ballot in usual fashion on horseback this morning in Gallant. That's northeast of Birmingham. Meanwhile, cheering supporters met Democratic candidate Doug Jones as he cast his ballot this morning in the Birmingham suburb of Mountain Brook. Tonight, we have live team coverage of the election. News 5's Mary Smith is following a key school vote in Baldwin County. Debbie Williams is following the Moore campaign in Montgomery. We begin with News 5's Alan Carter live at the Doug Jones campaign in Birmingham. Alan.
Well, Roseanne, right now, just a waiting game after months of campaigning, one that has included controversy and national attention. The results will come in tonight, and as you said, we are about an hour before polls close. Right now, what we're expecting, this will be the watch party. Right now, it's just mostly media that is here, but the area that's roped off in front, that is for all of the spectators and supporters to come out and be here for this speech, whether it's a victory or a concession speech from Doug Jones, which at the time was an unlikely candidate when he got into this race. But of course, as we mentioned, that controversy surrounding his opponent, Roy Moore, has really given him a shot at this, to the point where people consider it to be a toss-up in terms of who will win tonight. Spectators will come in at around 7 o'clock. Shortly after that, at some time, we expect Moore to be present. I did just talk to members of his campaign. They say that he is inside of this hotel watching returns come in. And once they get a sense of the way tonight is going to go, that's when we expect to hear something from the candidate, Doug Jones. Reporting live in Birmingham, Alan Carter, News 5.
And thank you, Alan. From Birmingham now to Montgomery, where Roy Moore plans to hold a rally as the results come in. News 5's Debbie Williams joins us live from the RSA Activity Center with all the details. Debbie.
And Mel, the wait is on for the polls to close, for Roy Moore to show up here, and we're not the only ones that's waiting and watching. The entire world watching, with the media that is packed into the RSA Activity Center, more than quadrupled what it was back in the summer during the runoff with Luther Strange. We have seen some of the members of his campaign that are here at the RSA Activity Center. Dean Young, also Bill Armistead is here, and we do expect that Roy Moore will make his appearance similar to what he did the last time, where he came in and shook some hands and hugged some necks before the returns really started coming in. Supporters have started arriving now. The doors opened at 6 o'clock for supporters, and they are greeted in the front of this activity center with a 10 Commandments display to harken back to how Roy Moore really hit the headlines back in the day. Now, they build this as a victory party, but with polls still open and won't be closing for another hour or so, we don't expect returns to come in for the next couple of hours. We'll have to wait and see if it turns into a victory party or a concession. Live in Montgomery, Debbie Williams, News 5.
Thank you, Debbie. With less than an hour to go until polls close, CBS News is releasing preliminary exit polls on the Senate race. There's also new information on when a majority of voters made up their mind on who they would vote for. News 5's Peter Albrecht joins us now live in the studio with more. Pete.
Well, according to the CBS News exit polls, 3 out of 5 voters made up their mind long before accusations of sexual assault were leveled against Roy Moore. Alabama voters head to the polls today to choose our next U.S. Senator.
What's your sense of how this election, how it might go?
Oh, it's going to go more.
So
I would say by a big margin.
I hope that Doug Jones wins. I hope that we get a larger turnout.
Democrat Doug Jones is trying to upset Republican Roy Moore. Moore was heavily favored until several women revealed decades-old sexual misconduct allegations.
I am voting for Mr. Moore, but I am not a huge supporter, would not have voted for him. I just don't like the heavy influence of outside media.
Dozens of cameras were there to meet Roy Moore when he dismounted his horse at his polling place today.
This is a very important race for our country, for our state.
The anti-establishment Christian conservative has the support of President Trump, who tweeted, "Jones is a Pelosi-Schumer puppet. Roy Moore will always vote with us. Vote Roy Moore." The Jones campaign worked hard to get African Americans to the polls and to win over some Republicans.
This is an important time in Alabama's history, and we feel very confident of where we are and how this is going to turn out.
Jones supporter Mike Martin thinks his candidate will prevail.
It's better to be scary and optimistic than scared and fatalistic.
Alabama hasn't elected a Democrat to the Senate in 25 years. The CBS News exit polling also shows that 8% of people who voted for Roy Moore today believe that he did indeed prey on young girls, but voted for him nonetheless. Peter Albrecht, News 5.
In Baldwin County, voters have more than just the U.S. Senate race to decide.
Voters will also weigh in on a property tax renewal that will impact school funding. News 5's Mary Smith joins us live outside of the Spanish Fort Community Center.
Mary, what are people saying about this?
Well, it's actually pretty busy here right now. It's picking up now that the polls close less than an hour from now. But most of the people I spoke to this afternoon say they're in favor of the $1 mil levy that is up for renewal because the county continues to grow. I also spoke to a probate judge here in Baldwin County, Tim Russell, who says that he is confident that that levy will pass as well. Now, Russell also tells me he expected the county would reach 30% by the end of the day. And as of 4 p.m., it had already reached that. He said Baldwin County already hit that percentage. Russell says he'll be disappointed if Baldwin County doesn't have the biggest voter turnout in the entire state of Alabama. Also bringing voters out tonight, again, is that $1 mil school levy. It comes out to $1 of taxes for every $1,000 of property value. Voters tell me they're in favor of it, and Judge Russell says, again, he sees it passing.
It's for our kids and our grandkids and, you know, the community. I just think, yeah, we need it for our schools. The teachers need a raise.
The money there's a lot of kids moving into the areas and they need new schools and more provisions. So.
And as of 3:30 this afternoon here at the Spanish Fort Community Center, the polling staff told me they've already seen more than 1,700 people come out here to vote. Now, after this, I'll be heading to Bay Minette to watch those numbers in, and I'll have the results on that school levy tonight. So stick with WKRG News 5 for the latest. Reporting live in Spanish Fort, Mary Smith, News 5.
News 5 is your local election headquarters, and we have coverage you can count on during tonight's election. Just a reminder, those polls are open until 7 o'clock. After that, we will be doing hourly cut-ins as those results come in. Then be sure to join us for News 5 at 10 as we continue our live team coverage from across the state.
It's been a perfect day to get outside, vote, and enjoy the Gulf Coast.
Just gorgeous. Let's get a first look at the forecast with Chief Meteorologist Alan Seals.
And smooth weather will continue for the next several days, but don't forget, temperatures are going to dip a little tonight, then they'll gradually recover. Overall, though, twinkling stars is what you will embrace as you step outside. Mid-40s, that'll be the air temperature by about 9 o'clock, but then we fall into the 30s. Late tonight, early tomorrow morning, it's going to be about a dozen degrees colder than it was this morning, but it's still going to be dry. We're sitting at 54 degrees at Gulf Quest Maritime Museum. We have a light north wind, and that's part of the reason why the colder air comes in tonight. We'll be drier and colder, and we'll be dry for the next couple of days. We approach the weekend, could be a sprinkle on Friday, mostly dry on Saturday, but by the time the weekend ends, then we'll see some wet weather. Before we get there, though, if you're in Grove Hill, Evergreen, Leakesville, start thinking about the tender plants tonight. It's not going to be a hard freeze, but it will be a light freeze, even north of Interstate 10 in places like Bay Minette, White House Fork, and Citronelle. I've got the rest of your forecast coming up in just a few minutes.
And thank you very much, Alan. New tonight at 6 o'clock, deputies say a fight over a girl may have led to a deadly shooting in Escambia County, Florida. 2 people are dead and the suspect is now in custody. News 5's Bryant Clerkley is live at the scene where he spoke with neighbors today. Bryant?
Yes, Mel, I'm here on Weiss Lane, and you can see, take a look at this, you can still see evidence tape and, a glove that an investigator could have dropped, and you can even see blood still on the roadway. But we talked to a neighbor that lives right here at this home, and he said that last night he heard gunshots, and he came outside and found 2 men lying in his front yard. Now, authorities say Gideon Fussner turned himself in not long after the shooting. Escambia County deputies say when they got on scene, they found 3 people shot. Deputies say the 2 who died were 19-year-old Raymond Martinez and 17-year-old Julius Lewis. Now, the 3rd victim who survived is 17 years old, but deputies have not released his name. One neighbor who did not want his name or face on television told us he saw several young men pull up in a vehicle last night.
They went in the house. About 20 seconds later, gunshots started firing. I seen people walk around the bushes. I closed my door, and about 3 minutes later, the cops were here, and 2 guys were laying out here dead.
Now, authorities say they have located a vehicle that could contain possible evidence in the homicide. They are not releasing any more details while it's under investigation. One woman who lives across the street says the shooting has her scared.
I've been here 2 years, no problem, none whatsoever. And that's why I'm very shocked.
Now, we're going to keep updating everyone with more details as they come. Please visit WKRG.com for more. In Pensacola, I'm Bryant Clerkley, News 5.
Coming up on News 5 at 6, we have just 6 days left for the magical Christmas toy drive. Huge donations are coming in. See who brought this giant bus filled with toys to our studios today.
Plus, our Pensacola Toy Vault is also busier than ever collecting toys. See which toy is already a big hit when we come back.
News 5 forecast first, sponsored by Airport Dental in Pensacola.
Our Tuesday has been pretty good to us. Temperatures now slowly sliding downward. Still 51 in Mobile, but already 49 in Pascagoula, 46 in Evergreen. Later tonight, it's going to be colder than it was this morning. Many of us will be right around freezing, which means some of us just above, some of us just below. But after tonight, temperatures moderate heading toward the weekend. News 5 at 6 starts right now.